Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from throwaway crazy one from the Relationship Advice subreddit and says, my husband's new female friend sent a text that gave me the ick. And I'm questioning her intentions. Am I being silly? So, I'll start by saying that I'm generally quite a secure person, and I've never felt like I had any issues around this until I read a message sent to my husband yesterday, and I'm kinda spiraling. Sorry, this might be long. For some backstory, my husband goes downhill biking, has done since he was very young, knows his stuff, he's out there every day, generally rides with the same group of guys, but they mostly stick to weekends. My husband goes out every day of the week, luckily because his job allows him to. If he's on his own, generally weekdays and the dogs are free, he'll take the dogs. They love it. So around 6 months ago, he was out in the morning with the dogs and ended up coming home earlier than usual. While he was out, he found this girl who fell off and badly injured her arm/wrist. As you can imagine, he's done the same numerous times. Knew exactly what to do and where to go to get seen quicker. He got her to the car park, packed the dogs and bikes up and took her to the GP who referred her to hospital, and he came home. All good. Around a week after this, one of the guys he rides with sent him a screenshot of a post in a Facebook group that was made for people specifically who build and maintain the bike trails. It went something like, I'm looking for someone called, insert husband's name here, who helped me last week when I fell and got me to the hospital. He drove a husband's truck and had 3 dogs, then listed our dogs' names. She had posted in a few groups before being linked to the group for the trail builders, who my husband goes out there with. My husband isn't on social media, so he said he could send her his number. She texted him to double check she had the right person. He said it was and that he was glad she was feeling better, and he was happy to help. She offered him money or to take him for lunch, which he declined, and they just said again that he was happy to help. They text back and forth every now and then, and her initiating, and it's mostly, hey, how are you, hope you're well, etc. Until she starts getting better and can ride again. It turns to, hey, we should hit the trail sometime. Now, without tooting his horn for him, he's very good. Used to ride competitively when he was younger. Same with much of the guys he rides with. Most people at the park know who they are, and generally, if they hear them coming, they will just get to the side and watch them pass. He tries to decline her offer in a way not to offend her, but there's no way she can keep up with them. There's a section that's just big jumps to practice on. He says maybe next time he's on those, he'll give her a shout and they can meet up there. Eventually that happens and he gives her a few tips, which turns into her texting him more often about biking, asking for him to tutor her and just general stuff. This goes on for the next couple of months. There seems to be a friendship starting. I've never once had any concerns about this and was quite happy for him to continue, and they do. So yesterday, Monday, he went out with the dog and bumped into her. Said they spoke for a while and went on a cycle with the dogs to wind down before he came home. She started texting him when he got home, and I can see the messages coming through the iPad as I was using it. To be clear, he's not hiding the text. He openly leaves his phone lying around, no passcode. Lets our daughter play on it, happy for me to use it. Doesn't get weird or secretive about it in the slightest. He knows the iPad and laptop are linked to his phone, and it can all be seen by anyone using them. He's never gave me cause for concern. It's her intentions I'm not too sure on at this point. But anyway, the dogs, we have 3 working gun dogs used in the fields regularly, and while they can look like they're running riot down these trails, they're extremely well trained and tuned into whatever my husband is doing, which becomes more apparent when he's not on the trails, as they're following and watching his every move. These texts started on about the dogs for a bit when she sent a text which ended in the following, like a slave looking to please their master. The little cheeky grin emoji. Admittedly, I don't care for emojis and the texting garb people use nowadays. I don't even know what the little face, what is that face called? I think it's like a flirting face, suggestive face maybe, but Opie doesn't know what that means frankly. But something about this made me feel icky, and I feel like there's an undertone going on here. He replied but seemed to ignore that last comment. However, this caused me to think and look back on her communication and feel like I've noticed a few red flags. 1. She always initiates. 2. If she doesn't get a reply, she seems to keep sending messages until he replies. 3. Not once has she ever referenced or acknowledged the fact that he's married or has a family. Even when he mentioned that he's been away for my birthday or that he's going to our daughter's dancing show, she had changed the subject that she's pretending we don't exist or to close down any mention of us. 4. She often makes excuses for them to meet up one-on-one. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to scour through every message and feed into this more than I already have, in case it's nothing. But am I crazy for thinking there may be something going on with her? I don't want to bring it up in case it is nothing and I look like I'm being paranoid. It just isn't sitting right. I'm also pregnant and the hormones are doing their thing. Should I say something or leave it and monitor this more closely for a bit? Or is this the effect of a 30-something pregnant mum whose husband seems to be aging like a fine wine, and any female he meets doing what he loves, being in amazing shape due to the hobby? Now, for me in this, it definitely feels like she's playing a bit of a game here, and, there was part of me as I was reading through this story, it said, does the husband told her that he's married and he has kids, etc.? But it obviously came out that there's obviously been some chat about it in the background. And this might be a bad take from my behalf, but it just kind of feels like he's a bit oblivious to what's going on in this situation, that I think that she is flirting with him. I think her behavior is escalating while this dude's just enjoying his hobby, And I don't think you're wrong to express your feelings to your husband about how you're feeling about this situation and see what he says. I can imagine he'll just say, "What? I didn't see it that way at all." But usually Wright says, "I'm kind of like your husband. I do a lot of helping people in a different vein though. And there are a lot of rather lonely and awkward people out there who just keep messaging once they have my contact info, men and women. I think you've handled this with grace, but I think it's totally reasonable for you to have a convo with hubby and just say, dude, she's pretty pushy and you're not doing anything wrong, but I'd appreciate it if you shut her down. Just tell her you're not in a position to be a coach and your ride time is focused, so you can't help her. She sounds a little starstruck and needy, but he's not doing anything wrong here, so I wouldn't make it a big hairy deal. Opie says thank you. I don't want to be the preggo wife who's demanding he blocks women because I'm making up things in my head." Miss Scarlett the Harlot says, "You are not, and from the way he's responding/not responding, I'm fairly certain he's also not terribly comfortable with how she's coming across either. It sounds like you're both on the same page with this, and if anything, your husband might appreciate confirmation that she's acting weird, and he's doing a good job trying to handle it. She's pulling the same Schrodinger's creep act men pull, pushing the line but never overstepping it overtly, so that if he does call her out, she'd turn it around on him, seeing flirtation when there was none, and being the problem. That can be far easier to address her directly if you already know the other people are seeing exactly what you're seeing, and your SO is on the same page as you on how to plan to deal with it, so there is no chance of it blowing up in your face. From what you've shared, she sounds like a creep, but he sounds like a happily married man who has no interest in whatever she's doing and really wishes she'd leave him alone or behave normally. I don't think you have anything to worry about, but that doesn't mean you won't feel better hearing that from him." So OP did update the post and said it escalated quickly. So my last post got a lot more responses than I thought it would get. I wasn't going to post an update, but I feel like I owe it to all the people telling me to trust my gut. For those asking why my husband hadn't been more abrupt with her, in a nutshell, he always tries to keep the peace. I downplayed how well known he is in our town. He comes from a well-known family in our area and was a downhill rider in the UCI and features in various YouTube channels. People come here specifically for the bike trails, and typically wherever he goes, there's usually a handful of people who recognize him and want to say hello. It's not a huge town. Everyone knows everyone kind of place, and like anyone, he would never want people to come away from any interaction with him with a sour taste in their mouth. After our daughter was in bed, I spoke with my husband, told him my thoughts, and he agreed she was being inappropriate and that he in no way would have done or said anything that would indicate he was alright with it. He hoped by ignoring it, she would get the hint and leave him be. He didn't want to make things awkward or embarrass anyone and admitted he probably should have said something. So after reading everyone's comments, there were loads of amazing ways people suggested shutting her down, which in hindsight would have been an amazing way to stop her in her tracks. However, he didn't want to ruffle feathers, so he went with "we're starting to get ready for the baby and have lots to do and prepare and simply don't have the time or energy to be spent on bikes or meetups and it'd be unavailable to her for the foreseeable" suggestions. He typed it up and handed it to me for my approval, and I hit send. Minutes later, his phone pings. I'm in the kitchen, he's in the living room, and I see his eyebrows raise and he just looks at me. I go over and he just hands me the phone. The fucking neck on this girl astounds me. She replied, "Okay, do you think we can meet up quickly tomorrow?" My heart sank and I knew exactly what that meant. I burst into tears. In my head, this was the start of my world crumbling. My husband tried calming me down and asked me what I'd like him to do. Block her there and then or ask what she wants to see him for. I wish I just told him to block her, but for some reason, I wanted to know more. He replied asking what meeting up would achieve. She just says there's stuff she would like to talk to him about face to face. I felt like I was literally being punched in the chest and being winded at this point. He eventually gets the point across that he's not going to meet with her and drags it out of her. She tells him that at some point feelings started that turned into fantasies and that basically he could do whatever he wanted to her. But I didn't need to know about it and she'd be happy to keep it that way. As she put it, our thing. It was more graphic than I'm willing to type. I felt like I was still keeping a level head on it until the point I lashed out. Got very, very angry. Started crying uncontrollably. My body was vibrating with anger. I barely slept. Woke up crying. Felt like absolute shit all day today. I've already got in touch with our friends who run these Facebook groups she joined and asked them to remove her and make sure she doesn't join again. My husband replied last night and told me it's sorted and I don't have to worry about her. I didn't see the text he sent, but it's there on the iPad. But I can't bring myself to even open the iMessage app after seeing what I saw. It's not fair that someone thinks that they can just do something like that regardless of how it's going to impact an entire family. Currently, I don't want him leaving the house. I don't want him to ever go back to the trails. I don't want the dogs even going up there. The fact that she has even touched my dogs makes me sick. So there we are. I still feel like my life's slipping away from me. Like someone's trying to steal it. My confidence is shattered. My eyes sting. My head hurts from crying. I don't feel like eating. I don't think I've ever felt as low as I do just now. Husband's trying his best to comfort me, but it will take a while, I guess. He's feeling very guilty despite me telling him he's done nothing wrong. I can't believe how quickly my life just changed with a stupid text. So thank you to everyone telling me to believe my gut and everyone else who took the time to comment. Edit. I just want to add, I'm not controlling my husband. I'm not holding him hostage. I had to take them out today. The bike park is almost in our back garden. I'm describing how I feel just now, like it's a personal attack on me and my family. And I know this happens all over the world. My eyes were never open to it. This man's baby is about to burst out of my body. I don't feel attractive in any sense of the word right now. I feel like I'm well within my rights to be a little distraught after seeing a text from a much younger, much fitter girl describing in graphic detail the things she wants my husband to do to her. And a couple of the top comments from that one. Brief Horror says, "You'll be alright, and honestly take comfort that this is probably a lot of pregnancy hormones and your husband loves the absolute soul out of you. He handled it well, so public figure or not, and he's by your side. He's been transparent and upfront and kind. She tried to crash the party and failed miserably. He's all yours and he wants it to stay that way. Hope you feel better and can do some rationalizing in the meantime." Opie says, "I'm trying. Thank you." Puzzle-Headed Big says, "You cannot keep the whole world from seeing your husband. You also cannot keep other people from finding him attractive and making a move. But, sweetie, he has done everything right and treated you honestly, including you, and shown zero signs of being interested in this other woman. That is exactly what you should want in a partner. Keep your chin up. Go spend time with him." The Soda says, "This right here. Back before I got married, sometimes my husband would get jealous if he thought another guy was flirting with me. I would tell him, they may be flirting with me, but I'm not flirting with them, and nothing is going to happen. They aren't going to make me do anything. This girl can't make your husband do anything. And And it certainly sounds like he's just a friendly person who never expected or wanted to go in that direction. It might be a good idea to get couples therapy or even just therapy to help you work through this. And those comments pretty much said it all for me, didn't they? It was like that he has been open with the messages, he has been transparent. And I wonder if like one of those comments said that some kind of counselling would sort of help, because it sounds like she's going through a time at the moment. I don't know whether it's the pregnancy hormones contributing towards that or not. I obviously can't comment on that, never been through them. But obviously I've heard how they can do such a number on you. But some people are just absolutely awful, aren't they? This woman knew that OP, the husband, they had a family, they had a marriage together, and she's willing to like potentially destroy everything for them by having this thing in the background. And we already know that it always comes out in the end, and it would have ruined their relationship. And she's, quite happy with that. And it's just sickening, isn't it, really? But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story is going to come from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. Doesn't have an update as yet, but it's from Throwaway Stepsis Dress and says, Am I the arsehole for not wearing the wedding dress my stepsister handmade for me? I, 25 female, got married 2 weeks ago. My now husband, 27 male, and I paid for most of the wedding, but my father covered a few costs for us. My father's girlfriend Stella has a daughter, Zoe, 21 female, who's finishing her degree in fashion. She wants to get into the wedding dress industry once she graduates. When I started planning my wedding, she offered to design and make my dress. I was hesitant at first, as I'd been excited about picking out my own dress. I agreed because I didn't know Zoe well. My father had only been dating her mother for 2 years, and I thought this could be a nice opportunity to bond. Also, I've seen some of her work. She made a couple of ball gowns in college, and she seemed honestly good. We met up a few times to discuss our ideas. During those, I realized our styles were drastically different, but we still managed to agree on a design. I gave Zoe my measurements and asked her to update me. She didn't. Whenever I asked her how she was doing, she'd say she would send me some progress pictures when she got home. She never did. It took her longer than expected to finish it, and I didn't get the dress until a month before my wedding. It looked nothing like the design we agreed on. It was the wrong color, the wrong style, everything. It looked exactly the type of dress Zoe would want to wear. But I knew I'd never wear anything like it. I really did not like that dress. When I tried it on, I found out it was also about 3 sizes too big, though I knew I could probably have it altered. I truly did not want to wear that dress on my wedding day. I called Zoe and told her I wouldn't wear the dress. I said it looked lovely, but not the style we'd agreed on, and I thought it'd be best for me to find a different dress. I offered to pay her for her work. She'd made the dress for free, but she declined and hung up on me. I went to a retail bride store with my maid of honor, and we found a beautiful gown that didn't need much altering. It looked exactly like I wanted. Fast forward to my wedding. I walked down the aisle in the dress I bought. Zoe seemed to be on the verge of tears during the ceremony, and Stella gave me dirty looks throughout the reception. When I approached them a while later, they were both short with me. My father, Stella, and Zoe left less than an hour into the reception. My father and Stella called me the next day and told me off for how I treated Zoe. This has been her first time making a wedding dress and had been excited to see me wearing it. They said it was insulting of me not to wear the dress she put so much effort into. I tried to explain why I hadn't worn the dress, but they're both insisting that the dress was beautiful and I could have sucked it up. My husband and my younger sister, not Zoe, are on my side. I've been feeling guilty about this since I decided not to wear the dress. Am I the arsehole? Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation at all. I mean, this is your wedding day. You met up, you discussed what you wanted, and you got absolutely none of that by the sounds of it. It was even the wrong size after you handed over the measurements. And when you did request like progress pictures, which you could have called this out a lot earlier, she never sent them to you. And I think this is going to be, well, it should be a learning lesson for Zoe that if she's going into this industry, she's going to have to listen to people when they request certain things from her. You can't just make up what you want and expect your clients to be cool with it. But Popular Jaguar says not the arsehole. Zoe disrespected you by ignoring your wants. As a designer, she needs to listen to her clients. Plus, her making the dress way too big means she isn't that great at it. Give the dress back to Zoe and let her know that you appreciated the effort, but this was not the dress you wanted and the two of you agreed to. That you are sure she will find someone to appreciate the dress. As for a mum and dad, let them know that Zoe needs to listen to her clients and that though you appreciate Zoe's efforts, it's not what you wanted, and that as a client you don't need to suck it up. And that they should have learned to accept that people have a right to make their own choices, especially regarding wedding dresses. Honestly wondering if Zoe did this on purpose to get attention during your wedding. OP says, I don't think she did this for attention. I think she got carried away and made the dress she wanted instead of the one we agreed on. Popular Jaguar then replies to OP saying, sorry, but look at it how we see it. She knew that you would not be wearing the dress because you told her a month before and explained why. She had time to accept this and she knew. You walk down the aisle and she tears up. Her mum asks why. She then tells her mum that you did not wear the dress she made for you and whatever else she wanted to throw in. Now her mum is pissed at you because if her mum would have been offended, they would have never showed up at your wedding or addressed the issue before the wedding. You were played. And I think it's fair to say the majority of the comments on this one were not the arsehole, but maybe you have a different take on the matter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.